Okay, we are now recording. Charlie, can you say Sunday Stoic?
Robot.
Can you say Sunday Stoic?
Beep bop.
Beep bop boop. Okay, I'm trying to get you to record the thing for my podcast. Can you say Sunday Stoic?
Sunday.
Justice, temperance, wisdom, courage. Applying ancient philosophy to modern times, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic. My name is Steve, and on this episode, I'm going to reflect once again on mortality, on death. It'll be a bit of a short episode. I'm leaving on a plane to go bury my uncle. I'll be a pallbearer in a funeral, and it really makes you think about the reality of the Stoic view that death is around the corner. So before I do that, please make sure you contact the show if you want a chance to win that Roman coin. The phone number will be in the show notes. Or you can email in an audio clip if you want, an MP3 file. Tell me your name, where you're listening from, and why you like Stoicism, and I will make the drawing before next week's episode. So get it in quick.
Like the show? Help support the Sunday Stoic by rating us on iTunes. Volunteer to read, suggest content, or send comments to sundaystoic@gmail.com. Thanks, and carpe diem.
Moral Letters to Lucilius by Seneca. Number 30 on Conquering the Conqueror.
Bassus may be included among these men. He had no wish to deceive us. He says that it is as foolish to fear death as to fear old age, for death follows old age precisely as old age follows youth. He who does not wish to die cannot have wished to live. For life is granted to us with the reservation that we shall die. To this end our path leads. Therefore, how foolish is it to fear it, since men simply await that which is sure, but fear only that which is uncertain. Death has its fixed rule, equitable and unavoidable. Who can complain when he is governed by terms which include everyone? The chief part of equity, however, is equality. Moral Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, number 70, on the proper time to slip the cable. On this journey, where time flies with the greatest speed, we put below the horizon first our boyhood, then our youth, then the space which lies between young manhood and middle age, and borders on both, and next the best years of old age itself. Last of all, we begin to cite the general bourne of the race of man. Fools that we are, we believe that this bourne to be a dangerous reef, but it is the harbor, where we must some day put in, which we may never refuse to enter. And if a man has reached this harbor in his early years, he has no more right to complain than a sailor who has made a quick voyage.
The Fragments of Musonius Rufus, number 17. What is the best viaticum for old age? If he heard these things, and he acted upon them, he would manage old age very well, and in particular he would rid himself of the fear of death, which more than all else terrifies and oppresses the aged, as though they had forgotten that death is a debt which every man owes. Yet it is certain that which renders life most miserable for the aged is this very thing, the fear of death, as even the orator Isocrates confessed. For they tell that when someone asked how he was getting on, he replied that he was doing as well as was reasonable for a man of 90, but that he considered death the worst of evils. And yet how could there have been any smattering of knowledge or of the acquaintance with true good and evil in the man who thought an evil which is the necessary sequel even to the best life?
The best life, you will agree, is that of a good man, and yet the end of even such a man is death.
In the first reading, Seneca reminds us that the one thing, the great equalizer to humanity, is death. It's something we cannot escape. It's the price we all must pay for being alive. And it's something we all share. In its way, you can think of that as beautiful, or at least reflect on the fact that you are not alone in the fact that you will die. In the second reading, he compares life to a voyage on a ship where we leave the dock and we're sailing out to sea, and we leave our youth behind, and then we leave our middle age behind, and at some point we see the harbor on the horizon. But for many of us, we think of death as a reef that we're going to smack into and suffer from and sink and die in terror. But in reality, it's a harbor, and we all are sailing to this harbor. Some of us sail smoothly and quickly and arrive there in our youth. Others sail a very, very long time and have rough seas between now and then, but eventually all of us reach that harbor. But we have to think of it as a harbor, the natural end to a life well lived, and not as a terrifying event that's awaiting us. Something that we should absolutely try to avoid at all costs. That's not the way we should think about it. And in the last reading, Musonius Rufus also reminds us that if you know truly what is good and evil in the Stoic sense, then death is no evil, for it is unavoidable. And even the best human being that has ever lived, the best life lived, will end in death. So there's no way to really apply a label of death being an evil when even the best person will suffer the same fate as you. So reflect each day on the fact that you will one day die. It will make you face it with more bravery. All other Stoic training may be in vain. Our riches may last our lives. We may be lucky enough not to experience pain. We may have healthy bodies all the way to the end, and we may not even lose any loved ones. We may not get to use these Stoic teachings in our lives. Perhaps everything in our life will go perfectly smoothly. But even in that case, even in the case where we stay rich our whole lives, we never experience pain, we're healthy all the way to the end, and our loved ones are still alive, we will still eventually die. It's something we absolutely will face as Stoics. So it's the one task that we must prepare ourselves for above all other things. I've heard it said that you don't know if you were a true Stoic until you're dead, because if you freak out on your deathbed, then it was all in vain. So we want to bear ourselves with dignity. It might be scary, but look at it right in the face, grit your teeth, and say, what would Epictetus do? All right, have a good week, and carpe diem.